And we are live, people. Today we're going to be talking about reacting to Fresh and Fit Sneako versus Tariq and other bowl washers. Bowl washers.
So, sir, can you give me a definition of a ball washer?
um,
Good evening, by the way. Good evening, first of
Good
all.
evening, bro. Good evening. Bro, the title alone. What a bowl washer to me is a person who um puts their integrity, puts someone else's integrity or another man's integrity before theirs. Someone who doesn't respect themselves, someone who is willing to even sell their own, self-respect, for attention. Someone who obviously is not confident. Um, yeah, that would be, my definition, sort of what a bowl washer is. A man who lacks integrity. And then,
Mm. So, a follower, essentially a follower, or someone who a
no,
clout chaser, maybe.
I would say a cloud chaser, not a follower, because you can follow good leaders, you can follow good
True,
people.
true.
Followers they good. There's nothing wrong with being a follower. We all have to follow at some point. But yeah, what you said next, yes, that would be a bit more accurate. Shout outs to everyone watching. We've got 6 of you guys watching. Um, but yeah, that's what I would call a bowl washer. We've been hearing a lot about this term bowl washer. Where did it come from?
I've never heard of it.
But as of lately,
As
I
of
mean,
lately, I was aware of a term when it was used, which you highlighted.
yeah,
But I wasn't familiar with this term. But I guess
yeah,
it
me
a
too.
man who, from just the graphic nature of the term, I guess it's a man who some type of, is it idolizing or
Idolizes. Yeah, someone who idolizes another.
well, I guess the American term would be arse flicker. That's the other term, yeah.
All slicker. Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah. Well, first of all, we're going to start with this Tariq Nasheed and Fresh and Fit situation. But before we start, brother, I want to ask you a quick question. Yeah,
Yeah.
because sorry, bro, we're getting some feedback. Does white supremacy exist?
Well, okay. In a nutshell, yes. And the reason why I know it exists is because the people that were, if you look at a time when, during periods of history,
Mm-hmm.
when particularly Europeans have dominated other groups of people,
Mm-hmm.
mostly non-white people, these are terms that they've used themselves to describe not only themselves, but their. I mean, you had Churchill, for example. Churchill made famous quotes about how, it makes sense for, in his words, lesser races to be dominated and ruled by higher races. So
Yeah,
that comment right there from Winston Churchill, um, shows you a white supremacist mindset. Okay, the idea that races are on a hierarchy, this hierarchy to racial groups, and I mean Darwin is a white supremacist because he also believed. So we're looking at very key
I was just
figures
going to
in
say that.
history,
I was just going to say that. That was
right?
enough.
Very when you have very key figures in history. If you look at Thomas Jefferson, who was one of the founders of the U.S.,
Mm.
he spoke about white supremacy. When you look at some of the when you look at some of the politicians, we look at Boris Johnson, for example.
Mm-hmm.
He made the famous quote as, the only bad thing about colonialism is that it ended and that we left. So again, when we see people in powerful positions making these types of statements, which literally put people on categories of race in terms of hierarchy, then there definitely is an argument there that not only that the concept of white supremacy exists, but it's being practiced if it's being endorsed by people in positions of power. You understand what I mean?
Mm.
If
But
these are just laymen people saying it, that's one thing. But when you have people that are expressing these ideas, who are in positions of power, who have the power to influence the lives of other people, then you have now there's a very strong argument to kind of prove that white supremacy does exist.
but isn't white supremacy inevitable? What do I mean by that? What I mean is, if the white race, or white ethnicity, takes over another race uh, and gains power, because they are in power, isn't supremacy supremacy inevitable due to gaining power? So, for example, I go out and I take over another country. Now I'm in charge of that country. Isn't that supremacy? Don't I have the power, regardless of what race I am?
Well, that's more like dominance. I think with white supremacy is not just an action. So what you described is, military conquest. The annex. I think that's a word. Annexing of other nation states, which has happened throughout history. People have dominated other people militarily, invaded, taken parts of their land, etc. I would consider that to be, military conquest and domination. I think with white supremacy, there's an added component there.
Which
That
is,
this is the component that's the interesting component is it there's a belief system along with the domination. So there's almost a sense of just because I'm of a certain race, I now have the right to dominate other people who are of a lower race. You understand? So, for example, when you had when Germany got involved in the Second World War and fought against the Germans, they weren't engaged in a battle where they believed that they were the dominant race. That as Americans, they were more superior than Germans. Even when the Americans bombed Japan, there was no kind of concept of we are racially superior, which is why we now have these are wars, these are military battles. Okay, this is about gaining dominance on the world stage. When you look at some of the early colonial conquests and some of the, because I've actually got I've written on this. I've got actually information that I produced that explains this. There was a concept that came before the conquest. So the concept was, as Europeans, we have a right, even a duty, and there was such a thing as a duty, a white man's burden. And this is what Rudyard Kipling spoke about. He saw it as a duty for Europeans to dominate, subjugate non-white people. You see the difference?
Yeah, but if every race has engaged in dominating other races, dominating other cultures, dominating other countries, and so on, and we all know what comes with that. If every race has engaged at some point in that type of activity, I mean, is it really too far fetched to to imagine that one race would be, in a sense, feeling themselves more by saying we are superior to you?
Not
I mean,
necessarily. Like, for example, I think I was watching a history channel the other day, and it spoke about, I think there was a brief war between Spain, another close European nation. I don't know if it was Spain. I think it was Spain and Italy had a war. I guarantee you, the rhetoric around that war would have been about one group being more racially superior.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I'm of the mind, just to explain my position, because I don't want to
Yeah.
spend too long on this, because I just want to give people a taste, because I do want to have this debate this discussion later on in the future. My opinion is the fact that every nation, from time to time throughout human history, have always conquered other nations, and made, some of them decided to make slaves out of other people and so on. But there was always a sense of, I'm superior to you guys because I've conquered you guys. And
Okay, but let's break
racial,
that down. What do you
yeah,
mean superior? Superior in
hold
what
on.
way?
But the racial component of it is something that I just don't see it as too far fetched. Don't I can I It makes perfect sense to it makes perfect sense in, how bad human beings can be when you take over someone that you now think, think of yourself as better than them or more superior than them, because you have taken over, or because you have these ambitions of having of taking over, great amounts of land and all of that type of stuff, and conquering nations and so on. Because you have these ambitions and you think of yourself as superior and so on, it's not too far fetched that people that do these things, or that go out and conquer the world, would have this idea of themselves as being better and superior to other
Mm.
races. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
agree with that. I think the point I'm making is not every military conquest or every war or every conflict between nations is accompanied with this idea of racial superiority. That's what I'm saying.
oh
I
I see.
agree with you that yes, in many instances, and not just the ones we're talking about, there
Mm.
probably would have been some element. I do like the Mongol Empire when
Yeah,
they
I
were
was just
sweeping
thinking about
through.
that.
I don't know if they believed that they were racially superior than the people that they were conquering.
I
I
was
don't
just
know.
yeah,
I'd have to do some reading on that to check that out.
I
But
was
I
just
do know
gonna
it happened. Like, for example, when
say,
the Japanese conquered the Chinese, when they
they
I
thought
think it
they
was
were,
around the Second World War,
yeah,
that they conquered. They did believe
they did
that they were
believe they're
racially
superior,
superior.
race wise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they did. They did believe that racially superior. Um, Racially superior. Yeah. So it
fair enough.
definitely is a component of some conquest. There's no doubt about it.
But when I think of like to go back to the topic that we're going to be talking about today, when I think of racial superiority, oh sorry, or white supremacy, when I think of that term, I'm thinking, and which in a sense Tariq Nasheed kind of mentioned it, it's who's in power. Well, um, I would say white people are in power. I would say that. This to me, this is a fact. They are in power. The most powerful military force in the world is America. There's nothing comparable to that. People might mention Russia and China, but believe you me, America is beyond anything you can imagine. But so to me, those in power make the rules. So to me, that that term white supremacy, does it exist? Yes, because I believe whoever's in power is going to make the rules, and those rules are ultimately going to favor them more than it will favor you, because they're going to take care of themselves first, before they're going to take care of their own self-interest first, before they're going to take care of yours. It makes sense to me, because that's how human nature is.
I
uh,
agree. It's inevitable. It's almost
it's inevitable.
inevitable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's inevitable. So, so in that sense, I can see what Tariq Nasheed is saying,
Yeah.
and
But
it makes perfect sense.
I think
Um,
it's important to note that when we're talking about any type of supremacy, that in this instance we're talking about white supremacy, we're not talking about the concept of being supreme, inherently supreme. That's not what we mean.
mm,
Because some people would say, oh, you're saying that white people are more superior. That's not what the term actually means. It has nothing to do with white people being inherently superior. We again are talking about power, a power dynamic. It's a power dynamic that not every white person has the ability to wield. Okay, so it's not about all white people inherently being supreme. We're talking about a power dynamic that exerts power over large parts of the earth and who they happen to comprise of,
yeah,
as well as an accompanying ideology which we've seen uttered by people within that power structure, which suggests that they have a duty or a right to subjugate people of non-European white racial identities, simply because they are less sophisticated, less developed than they are.
Well, according to their definition of development.
Right.
But the thing is, Darwin, for example, I think this is one of the ideologies. Evolution is one of the ideologies that perpetrates that. That's that one that I think they call the darker races the savages. They're and eventually, apparently, the most civilized or the most evolved race, being the white race, will eventually um, become so civilized that that the savages or the darker race will cease to exist. And of course, in Darwin's eyes, the white man is the most evolved and the black man isn't. So that's how he viewed it. So to me, I would classify that as a racist ideology. I don't think for 1 second human beings evolved from a single celled organisms. But the thing is, going back to the topic again, is there anything that's the second? Because these are the two questions. The two questions that I'm going to ask are the main two questions that were asked, and then we're going to react to a couple of things, and then we're going to deal with some other ball washers, and they'll be named shortly. But is there anything holding black people back in 2024? That was enough. Basically, that's Tariq Nasheed said white supremacy exists, and I think we've kind of established that. And Myron from Fresh and Fit, he was basically saying, is there anything holding black people back in 2024? America specifically, not necessarily around the world, but America specifically. What is your answer to that?
So my answer is this: I have to look at. So when you in answering a question like that, you have to look at the historical legacy of black people within that country. The historical legacy of black people was built on having an inferior status. At one point, they were even considered as not fully human beings. So we have to look at the inception of how black people were perceived and treated in the United States. Okay. Now the question is that still a factor today, as obviously it was, centuries ago?
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be wrong to suggest that things haven't improved. It took a lot of change. It took, it took the civil rights, movement. It took, people actually having to address systemic discrimination, which obviously was happened. Even post civil rights era, there was still you can still see within some of the major institutions, be it the criminal justice system, housing, etc., finance, how black improvement was not just improvement. Black identity was still a target. So we saw that clearly within the criminal justice system. For example, if you look at the whole situation with the drugs, you had crack cocaine and cocaine. Two, basically, this, if you were caught, because of the fact that it's been documented that drugs were put into black. I mean, this is up for debate. We have the Iran Contra situation where to fight battles in other part in South America, to fund it, they were allowing some of these drug cartels to flood the inner cities with cocaine. These are facts. These are not even up for debate. You can read up on this.
Are you talking about the crack cocaine era in the 80s?
Right. That was directly funded by the American government. And again, this is not up for debate.
CIA.
The Iran country. I mean, this is all. I mean, this is. We're not talking about conspiracy here. We're talking about actual facts here. So if you look at, I mean, that's just one example. Another example was if you look at someone when black people did thrive post slavery, and they were kind of left to their own devices and able to build thriving cities. They were targeted and destroyed. One was actually targeted with aerial bombing, which is unbelievable to think that a government would actually aerial bomb their own citizens. But this happened. This happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, so throughout periods of history, we've seen systemic destruction and discrimination affect particularly black people. Again, going forward in history, things have got better. Black people are able to move more into the middle classes. We now see black people who have less restrictions on themselves and are able to thrive. However, I think to make the blanket statement that it doesn't affect black people at all.
Sorry, bro, you've gone a bit low there. Your volume
Let me
is-
speak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's better.
Yeah, I think we still see. I mean, again, by their own accounting, by their own reporting, they still. I mean the actual institutions that govern the population. When they audit themselves, when they actually take a close look at how they are, representing or dealing with or addressing black people, whether it be within the housing market, within the criminal justice system, etc., they will still find instances of discrimination. You still hear, for example, just last year, you had a group of people, I think it was in LA. These are people of power. These are people that actually had the power to fund, put funding into communities to better those communities. There'd be secret filming of them actually denying funding for black communities, and they were actually called out for it because they systematically were saying we will not fund some of these black communities, even though the money was allocated. They wanted to relocate the money.
Sorry, brother, just give me a second. Shouts to Baha. I can't say the entire name. Raucha or Rocha Kadash. Baha. He says the civil rights movement as it is today was meant to keep so-called black people dependent on so-called white society. I kind of agree with that. I think you've got a point there. And he says, peace and blessings to your podcast. Peace and blessings to you. And welcome to the Solution Podcast, bro. Appreciate you.
It'd be good to have a discussion about of that whole segregation, because I find that when you think about it, there wasn't real segregation going on. Because the segregation, black people were able to go into white establishments and areas, etc., but white people were able to. So, for example, if you look at the bus situation, black people had to sit at the back of the bus; they couldn't sit at the front. But a white person could sit wherever they wanted to on the bus.
That's right.
And that kind of breaks down how that segregation thing worked. And the only thing that was integrated was black people's money. That's the only thing that was integrated.
Yeah.
That's the only black people were able to spend money in white establishments.
Sorry, bro, you sound far away again.
Yeah, they were able to integrate their money into white neighborhoods, but physically they weren't able to. So it wasn't really an integration movement as many think it was. It was a bit of a con. This is just my opinion.
No,
yeah,
that's
going back to your question.
My opinion as well. That's my opinion as well. That's my opinion as well. Yeah.
So going back to your question, so my answer is it should never be seen as a crux. It should never the specter of racism and discrimination, in my opinion, should never be seen as a reason or a crutch for a black person to not achieve them, to not be the best person they can be, to achieve. Because we can see black people achieving in America. We see black people as lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, sportsmen, businessmen, music executives, architects, the whole gamut of industries. We can see black people within these industries. So that in itself tells you that it's not an automatic barrier. Discrimination is not an automatic barrier. At the same time, I think it's wrong to kind of dismiss the idea there is still issues. There's still the issue of poor schooling within black neighborhoods. The neighborhoods themselves need improving. There's definitely a culture of criminality that exists within some areas of the black community that needs to be addressed. That is not helped by the fact that some of these areas are micro-policed. Because I've always said, if you have a situation where people are being micro-policed, so if you have a police force that are literally have almost like a kind of a bird's, they just perched a bird's eye view of crime, they're going to be less arrests. If they're very lackadaisical with policing a certain area, you're not going to catch all the criminals. People are going to get away with stuff. On the contrary, if you have a community that's been heavily policed, we talk about heavily policed, then you're going to catch more criminals. So sometimes there's a bit of this idea that there's a massive criminality in the community, black community. It can be attributed to the fact that they're over policed, but at the same time, again, as accountability is important. Yes, you may live in an area that is being over policed, but that doesn't give anyone the right to commit crime or to feel it's okay to commit crime. So I'm very kind of 50-50 in this whole idea of are black people still under the system of it's such a system where they can't progress, because I don't think I'd be doing myself any service to say yes, there's automatically black people are going to underachieve simply for living in America. I don't believe that, because as I said, we see examples of it. But I won't be one of these people that would deny that racism exists either.
Okay. I think racism will always exist. Is there anything holding black people back in 2024? When it comes to opportunities, when it comes to when we are talking legally in terms of laws and so on, I don't think there is. But what is holding back black people, as far as I can see, is this culture that's promoted, that's destroying the black family. Um, uh, what's holding the black community back is lack of fathers, lack of leadership in that sense, um, lack of nuclear families, lack of marriages. These are the things that I think are holding back the black community that will eventually will uh, will hurt the black community in the long run. So to me, when I think of what's holding back, I don't look at right now, society wise, what we have in place, and say, okay, we have free education. Here in England, we have free healthcare. I know there's a lot of opportunities in America. There's a lot of opportunities in the first world. So I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at, historically speaking, what has transpired, and why we are not seeing why we are seeing the birth rate decline so much. Why are the marriages declining in the black community? Why there is no male leadership? These are the things that I think are holding black people down, that will hurt black people in the future. Not what the government seems to the way it looks is that there's a lot of opportunity, and why are you not making it is your choice, blah 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 blah. But when you factor in the fact that there is no male leadership, when you factor in that there is a ratchet culture that's being promoted and pushed in order to lead more black males and black females and anyone else really, of any race, astray. So when you factor in all of those things, you can see that in the long run, even though it looks like there's a lot of opportunity in the long run, it's actually not going to help the black community in the future. But yeah,
Can I make a quick point? Just a couple of quick points. First of all, just addressing one of the comments that were made in this comment section. I'm not saying black people were better under segregation, because if black people were doing so well under segregation, there wouldn't have been a civil rights movement. Okay, if they were doing so well, there would not have been a civil rights movement. Clearly, there was a civil rights movement because they didn't feel they were doing as well as they should be doing. They made the best out of a bad situation. Black people were black. There was no such thing as interracial marriages. That wasn't allowed under the law. It was deemed as inappropriate or even illegal in some areas. They weren't able to frequent. There wasn't integration in housing. There was integration in business. So they were forced to build their own black communities. That's what happened. They were forced to do it. However, even under that situation, they still fought for civil rights because they felt that they weren't getting fairly treated. You know, there were still areas of the United States they weren't able to access, and they thought that wasn't fair, considering that they actually were instrumental in building the whole country up. They thought they had much more. They should have much more rights than they had. So I don't go with the idea that they were doing better under segregation. No, because if they were doing so well, there wouldn't have been a civil rights movement. That's the first thing. Your point that you made there about the black community, I think it's one thing we have to because this is it's very important to make this point. Not all the black America is degenerate. Not every single black person has a criminal record. Not every single black person is ratchet. Not every single black person is unemployed. I could go down the list when it comes to all the stereotypes. Okay, not every black woman is a loudmouth. I could go on and on and on. I think it's very important that, because I think over here, because of how the media works and how, you know, we have this hip hop as the main music of the world, and we see videos and we see, you know, they put us. So there's exactly. So sometimes I think we can fall into the habit of us, and I think this is what happened with some of the people we're going to talk about today, because that's all they see. They have this idea that in itself is a representation of all black people. So they have this notion that because they see a couple of black guys walking around with their pants hanging around their ankles, with gold teeth or whatever you want to talk about, they're all like that. No, they're not. There's millions and millions of black Americans that live normal, hardworking lives. There's millions, for example, just the Jehovah's Witness community. I know that because obviously I've got family in it. There's millions of black Americans over there who are Jehovah's Witnesses. They live one of the most virtuous lives you can think of. That's just one sect of Christianity. If you factor in, I'm not saying every Christian is virtuous, by the way, but the idea that many of them are not is also not true. There's many devout black Christians who don't engage in degenerate behavior, who don't walk around, with their pants hanging around their ankles. They're not all sexy reds and 50 cents or whatever you want to call it. They don't even engage in that culture because it goes against their Christian beliefs. There's many black people, black Muslims over there. Again, millions of them, Orthodox and within the Nation of Islam, who don't adhere to this lifestyle. And then it's just average black people that just want to, they go to school, they get a job, they get married, they raise their kids, and that's it. Normal. So this is a norm for most black Americans. Most black Americans don't have criminal records. So I think it's very important when we have this discussion and we talk about the quote-unquote problem with the black community. We're talking about a problem within a subsect of the black community, the one that we all hear about. We don't hear about all the college graduates, all the doctors, all the lawyers, all the architects. We don't hear about that because that doesn't make news. That's not sensational. That doesn't create a storyline. So I think it's very important when we're discussing this issue not to have this kind of belief that it's this massive problem within all of black society in America, because it's not. Even when they go down the BLM riots, a fraction of black people engage in the BLM riots. I'm talking about less than 1% of black Americans engage in the BLM riots. But however, people would look at the BLM riots, and we've seen some of the people we've spoken to, they look at the BLM riots and then make blanket statements about the whole black community. See, when I see things like that, to me, that suggests two things. Either you're willfully ignorant, okay, so you literally don't know any better, or you do know better, but because you have anti-black racism or bias, you're extrapolating a minority behavior onto the majority purposely, because you want to stigmatize the whole community.
I need to look into the statistics.
I have.
But I think some of the arguments that they bring up is the fact that that black kids are not underachieving. Um, they look at it as a whole, and apparently the black community in America apparently seems to come at the bottom or something. The Chinese at the top, then the whites, and then I think that's why they put everyone in the same category. And correct me if I'm wrong. Is that why they come up with these things? When they say, oh, the black community is this and black community is that, is it because of that? Because demographically they look at it as, okay, as a whole, okay, they're not achieving as much as the other races, so to speak.
Well, let's look at college graduation. I mean, I need to check this, so don't quote me on it, and I could do a quick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I haven't checked it myself, so I can't. You know what I mean? But yeah, go ahead, bro.
I did see something one time that suggested that black women, particularly, were the most college in terms of college graduation. They was featured very high up on the list. I need to get the specific.
I think I heard about that, but apparently it's enrolled, not necessarily achievement-wise or academic achievement. I need to look where these stereotypes come from. Of course,
well, let's go. Even if we were going to go with enrolled, if you're enrolled into higher education, that in itself shows a desire to to not be ignorant. If you see what I mean.
Of course,
to not just be a ratchet hood rat, which is what they perceive. We get the perception that most black women are some type of ratchet hood rat.
Yeah, because that's what they promote. Because that's what they push out.
There you go. But then, even if when they go with just the enrolled part, many of those must also be graduating too. So they actually looking to better themselves. Someone that's looking to ratchet hood rats are not usually people that are out here trying to better themselves. You see what I mean?
Yeah, no, right. Listen, right. Any girl of any race can be ratchet. The ratchet is not something specific to the black race. But what was I gonna say? I forgot it now. All right, okay, bro. All right, let's get into this reaction. And let's find out what's going on here.
He just understood that it's a different ethnicity. He doesn't realize that.
No, right. he did it. He said
I acknowledged it. I acknowledged it.
Okay, what he's also overestimating. Hold on, I don't know if anybody caught this.
I acknowledged it. Yeah, a lot of white people come from different ethnic backgrounds.
Okay, but
when they all get together,
that's where y'all should have now stuck. Once he
keeps saying that. He keeps saying that they're from different ethnic backgrounds. They're not white. Jews are not white people.
But they're classified as white.
But he did point out how they would be white supremacists if they didn't like your black ass.
But you're not seeing where he doesn't understand. It's like they're classified that within the group because they want to be undercover as white people to divide white and black people to have ultimate control. That's what you don't seem to understand. And you're also overestimating the anti-black racism. That's the smallest problem. See, you're here with
not.
It's the smallest thing.
That's
why you're here.
You pause it.
Suit in your profile picture. Tommy's wearing
hold
a suit.
On, bro. Let's just finish this.
All right.
Only a few more seconds. Yeah.
Majority of black Americans, they wear their pants sagging, they wear bras, they're out there with red hair because they subverted hip hop culture.
So here we go with these tropes again.
Let me explain.
Okay, the majority
made black culture through hip hop to make it degenerate, and that's why you're a millionaire up here and you're not giving away your money for reparations because they use hip hop.
Right. Now I'm glad that you paused it there because it literally proved my point. What did he say? The majority of black people have the red hair and wear their pants sagging. See, this is what I'm saying. When you come up with stupid, infatual statements like that, all you're doing is highlighting, and this is why it's very easy to debunk these type of people, because when you're actually trying to argue in good faith, your biases shouldn't be leading you. When your biases lead you, when that's what's underpinning your argument, you make terrible mistakes and you make comments that are not factually correct. So what's happened with Sneako, his anti-black biases are running his thoughts. So he makes stupid statements like, most black Americans have red hair and I like sexy red, because that's factually not true. But because it's underpinned by his own prejudices, it's very easy to these people are very easy to debunk. Going back to the Jew statement, I understood exactly what was being said there. There are people right now that if I showed a picture of them to you and said, what race are they? You would say white, but they identify as Jewish. There's so many examples of that. Excuse me. Woody, what's his name? The famous actor Woody. What's his name? And they said that he had an affair with his. He had an affair with his his foster child. I forgot the famous actor. Jewish. Everybody would look at him. Oh, this is a white person. Okay, I could go down the list. I don't want to name too many names because I don't want to be seen to be, we have to be careful. But there's many people right now that if you were to see a picture of them, you would identify them as white. But if you look at their bio,
you can't hear you at all.
Their bios, you would hear Jewish. Can you hear me now?
Not as well as.
I'm not sure why.
Okay, that's better. Yeah.
As I was saying, there's many celebrities and actors, politicians. If you saw a picture of them, you would identify them as white. They would be identified as white. Okay, if they're picked up by the police, to be identified as white, but they have so-called Jewish identity. That's the point that Tariq is making. If you are able to identify, and if the world identifies you as white or as a white,
Bro, can you get
member of the white race,
you sound a bit low.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. If you are able to identify, if the world is able to identify you as white, okay? If the world is able to identify you as white,
that's better.
Then yes. Then yes. The idea that Jewish people are not white doesn't really make
you've so, bro, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. I can hear you now. Can you repeat that last bit, please? Because we couldn't hear you.
No, I was saying if the world identifies you as white,
yeah,
right, and you identify yourself as white, but you're saying but there's a Jewish in your bio, because the thing about it, and people don't realize this. What is a Jew? Is it a race or is it a religion? Sammy Davis Jewish. Sammy Davis was Jewish. Okay, in Israel right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
In Israel right now, they are black Jews who have been identified as black Jews. Okay, so the idea that Jewish is a homogeneous racial group is nonsense. First of all, so you can have white Jews. Not all Jews are identified as being white or not white. Some are identified as white, some are identified as black. Okay, and everything in between. So you can have some people that identify as white. There are Jews out there that can identify as white and that do identify as white and that are identified as white. So this argument that Jews are not white is a very stupid. Again, it's not a based on fact, because if you're saying Jews are not white, okay, then are they black?
All right. No, what he's basically saying is just like, they can have the same kind of skin tone, but but you know how you have black people from different tribes and so on, but but they have the same skin tone, so they look pretty much the same. But what I would say to that is, you have to go back in history and find out and look into the Romans, and when the Romans decided to persecute the Jews and get rid of the Jews from Judea, and what happened to the Jews is, what happened to the Jews is that they dispersed all over the world. Some went into where Ethiopia is, others went into, when people talk about the Ashkenazi Jews and so on and so forth, what they're really talking about is they're talking about when the Jews dispersed all over the world. So when they went to different parts of the world, so that would have had an impact as well on their skin tone and who they mixed with, and so on and so forth. After that, so yes, we're not talking.
But the point is,
we're not talking about skin color.
Right, and the real issue is not even about. It's about whether or not a Jew can practice white supremacy. That's the overall point. And I think it's been proven that they can. There's been Jewish people that have been in positions of power that have practiced white supremacy. I think there was a very good point in this debate that I don't know if we're going to talk about when Tariq Nasheed highlighted during the Civil War, one of the Confederates leaders who clearly was anti-black was also Jewish. There's been people that have been members of Nazi parties in America who have Jewish ancestry. So the point is, you can identify as a Jew, and you could also identify as a white racist, and identify with white racists, and that's the overall point.
Okay, because this is going to come up, I'm just going to bring it up now. The Sneako's reasoning, or the way Sneako's thinking about it, is like this. He's going back to the Talmud, okay? But the Talmud was written about 400 AD. All right. Just before the Quran, 680. So he's talking about the Talmud, and he's basically insinuating that the Talmud is quite racist, and they don't necessarily favor people of other races, or they don't look at people as other. I think they describe them as goyim, or sheep, or I think that's the Gentiles. They don't associate themselves with that. And so he goes back to the Talmud and says, look, the Talmud, does not the Talmud is in a sense does not look at black people favorably, put it that way. They look at them as Gentiles. Well, to be honest with you, it's like non-Jewish people. If you don't fall into that circle, then you would be considered as a Gentile. You'd be considered as a sheep, so goyim. This is what he's talking about, and he's trying to imply. I don't know. I haven't read the entire Talmud, but this is what he's basically trying to imply. That somehow that it's racist. Put it this way: if you read the Talmud, you wouldn't say what you're saying. But the Talmud was written in 400 AD, so that does not speak. For example, Christians and Orthodox Jews do not recognize the Talmud as being part of holy scriptures, as being part of the scriptures, like the Torah, the prophets, and the Gospels. We don't recognize the Talmud as revelation from God, or in any way, shape, or form. So I don't. But then again, I don't expect Sneako to even know this information, but I know what he's talking about when he's saying, okay, the Talmud, if you read the Talmud, you wouldn't say what you're saying. That's what
his comment. His argument was that they cannot be such a thing as a black Jew, and he's using the Talmud. Okay, let me show you the flaws in that. First of all, as you've highlighted, the Talmud is a man-made book. Okay, it's a man-made book, and it came way up. Jews existed before there was such a thing as the Talmud. Okay, let's get that clear.
Thousands of years, bro.
Thousands of years. The original book of the so-called Jewish, in terms of a religious book, is the Torah.
The Torah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Within that Torah, those people within there, you had Moses, for example.
Yeah.
Moses was brought up in the black Egyptian household. So what did he look like?
There's that too.
First thing. Second thing is,
married an Ethiopian woman.
So the thing is, the idea that they couldn't be black Jews is nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense, even from a historical point of view. The original Jewish people would have been very dark-skinned people. That's just, I mean, there's paintings in Egypt of the original Israelites, because the Jews are the original Israelites. There's paintings on the walls, and they're dark and black. This is how the Egyptians painted them when they were in captivity. They painted them as dark-skinned people. Okay.
Israelites or Nubians?
Israelites. I'm talking about the Israelites. The Bible talks
seen
the story of the Israelites being enslaved by the Egyptians. Okay, and on the hieroglyphs, you see people working as slaves under the Egyptians, who have the same complexion as they do. Even if you look at the story of Joseph, when his brothers sold him into slavery to Egypt.
Yeah.
When Joseph became a powerful man, his family, because of a famine, his Israelite family came into Egypt. Joseph was standing right in front of them, and they didn't recognize him, and he was standing amongst Egyptians. If he was
according to the story,
this is scripture. You could read. People could read this. So they didn't recognize him. Okay, that he recognized them, and they didn't recognize him, which shows that from a what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Phenotype. From a phenotypical view, they look the same. They were the same complexion, is what I'm saying. Dark skinned. So the idea that the original Israelites were not dark skinned, I mean, that's just, if he thinks that they all look like Benjamin Netanyahu, then I mean, again, you're an idiot if you really believe that.
My view on what race they were is I don't know, but I know they were not white. Put it
there you
way.
go.
That much I know.
Okay, so then the idea of Sneako, right? So the idea of Sneako saying, and then the Falashas, and there's even tribes in Ghana that literally have the DNA. Some of the DNA was done on Jewish people now when it goes back to Africa. So, and again, some of the reasons why the Jews are hated is because people believe that they have that African blood in them, and that was brought up also in the debate, which is also that's also been looked up, and people have actually found the direct quotes of Hitler talking about Jews having Negro blood, etc. So again, this idea that Sneako saying a black Jew doesn't exist or cannot exist, and there's no such thing as it again shows you ignorance. But I'm not surprised. As I said, look at the people he hangs around with. They have a very limited worldview. When you have a very limited worldview, you're not going to go out there and find the truth. You're not going to educate yourself because you're happy with your view. They want to hate Jews. They want to hate blacks. So any history pertaining to them that kind of messes up their worldview, they're not going to entertain it. There's a cognitive dissonance there. They won't entertain it. So black Jews do exist, and there are such a thing as black Jews. And the original Jews are black. Dark skin. I'll say they're dark skin. I'll use that. They weren't white. They weren't white.
I believe that I mean, you have to look at it historically. See, a lot of people don't want to do the research, but I believe that the Jews were dispersed. Then they didn't just. Some of them went to Babylon. Others went to where Russia is right now. They dispersed all over the place, and they would have mixed with all of those different races and so on. And so it's not. It's not, and the Bible doesn't really necessarily address race the way people in a satisfactory way that people would. But we know that people in that region are not white. We just know that. That's just a fact. So we can't go back. But for what amazes me is that they don't bring this up. Why don't you bring this up, these arguments up? Because these arguments are historical. I don't know why this is why. When I think of Sneako, I think of someone that's just regurgitating things that he's hearing. It's like he's being indoctrinated, and he's just regurgitating stuff instead of actually looking at the books, reading it, doing some research for himself, and actually, making up his own opinion, his own mind up as to what he thinks actually is going on or went on.
This is what happens, Nelson, when you're you come from an internet kind of culture. They haven't got the time to go out into the real world and investigate and do the research that people like me and you have done, where we've actually going to read, going out and actually try to educate ourselves. These are people that are in their own corner of the internet. They have buzz points. They have their own anti-prejudices of particular races. And that's what they need. They don't need to. They don't need it to find out whether it's true or not, because there's so many people that there's such an echo chamber amongst them that they don't challenge each other.
Well, I would argue it also agrees with their biases. So they have certain biases, they have certain views, and they're not going to do the research if it's going to go against what they what they want their worldview to. If it's going to go against their worldview, their biases. But let's carry on here. Just 1 second for me, guys.
Is ridiculous, and I'm going to say why. We're talking about the United States of America. Everyone has opportunity here. Whether people want to go ahead,
you got knocked out today, sir.
Bitch, you can't ask for referrals. Come on, cut it out.
All right. I just want to interject something here real quick. I just want like 30 seconds to just make my point here. This entire argument is ridiculous, and I'm going to say why. We're talking about the United States of America. Everyone has opportunity here. Whether people want to go ahead and say, oh, well, I'm victimized and I can't have the same opportunities because of the color of my skin, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. It's up to you if you're going to become successful or not. Whether you come here as an immigrant or you're born here as a foundationally Black American, it doesn't matter. You got to go out there and fucking work. The color of your skin is no longer, the color of your skin is no longer a valid excuse to say that you're being oppressed by the man or whatever it may be. Whether you're Black as fuck from Africa or you're foundation Black American,
they want a brown face just like you to say that kind of shit, right? And that's why we don't want you to speak, right?
Yo, shut the fuck up when I'm talking, man. Like you're here as a guest, so shut the fuck up.
Myra, you ain't even built like that, bitch. You got a bad over.
Okay, anyway, like I was saying, fucking clown. I don't even know why he's talking. So, like I was saying, you guys are going ahead and saying that the problems stem because of race. I'm saying that the problems stem because of stupidity. If you deserve to be successful and you work hard, you will get it. Your skin color has nothing to do with that. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
And again, that's why
and to defeat that, if we're saying that to defeat that,
with that logic, and I always go back to your homeland. If it's all about being stupid and not race, are you saying everybody from the Sudan is stupid because they got oppressed and their homeland has failed? Because they didn't build.
I'm talking about the United States of America. I find it interesting that you always bring it back.
Should apply anywhere.
You always bring it back.
Stupidity is not just in the United States, sir. Stupidity is stupidity, no matter where it is. And that logic should apply to
you have different opportunities in different lands. That's actually
hold on. Because let me tell you why the stupidity matters where you are, Tariq. Because I'll tell you why. Because in the United States of America, you get a free education. You're in a first world country where you have running water and electricity. And if you don't have that, you can go ahead and get welfare. So everyone has an enormous amount of opportunity in the United States compared to other third world countries. So what I'm saying is this. If someone comes here with $1 in their fucking pocket and can't speak the English language and finds a way to become a millionaire or become successful, guess what? They did a lot better than a foundationally Black American that was born and raised here, that knew the language, that's going to sit there and complain. Hold on, let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. Let me just finish what I'm saying. If someone comes here and doesn't even have a fucking green card and finds a way to get citizenship here, builds a business, makes a bunch of money, doesn't even speak the language, well, guess what? He did a lot better and is smarter than the foundationally Black American that's crying about the system saying, I'm being so oppressed when he had the opportunity. This is
where I have a problem. Because in this country, they weren't letting brown immigrants like you come over here for a long time. Do you understand that? This country was not letting African immigrants come over here. It was the foundational Black Americans who worked hard and kicked ass in the 1960s and said, we're going to change these laws to let these brothers and sisters over here. So when you come over here and say that, yeah, we over here now, we're so much smarter and better than those foundational Black Americans who actually were the ones fighting to get me over here, that's a very disrespectful mindset to have. And that's the problem that we're having now.
That's it.
So this is why I think it's happening sometimes again. I think in some of these guys' minds, guys like Myron and people like that. So if you call out racism, just calling out. So if you happen to see racism, if you see discrimination happen, then you call it out. In that act alone, somehow in their minds means you are saying, I'm a victim. I can't achieve anything. The white men are holding me back. It's a very kind of weird, skewed view of thinking, because just because someone highlights racism exists, and this is the issue I had the other day when I was doing that debate with someone. They're always being accused of the same thing, saying people accusing me of thinking everything is about everything is about race, or I'm playing the victim, that type of stuff. Simply highlighting racism it doesn't equate to me saying I'm a victim. Because by that logic, white people that talk about racism, they also think that they're victims and think that they're being held back. You see what I mean? Doesn't make just because you highlight racism exists doesn't mean you're saying I can't achieve anything in my life, or I can't be successful, or I believe white people are holding me back. It doesn't mean that.
Bro,
all it means is that you have eyes and you have a functioning brain, and you can see racism and you can call it out.
All right. To play devil's advocate here, and it's not really devil's advocate, you're looking at it from your lens. You are someone who can be how to say this, objective, and you know what is racism and what isn't. I think what's also being highlighted is that we live in a culture, of a bunch of spoiled people that basically will use the term racism willy-nilly just for anything. It's like the woman who, women are always claiming they've been great. Women are always saying anything has become great. Anything can be. It's the same concept. What's happening is people using the term racism for anything and everything. And what that does is it makes people believe, oh, hold on a second. How can this be, racism? Is this really racism? Is this really what's going on? But someone like you with a sound mind, you take racism seriously, and you know what is racism and what isn't. Now, does the normal person growing up in today's society look at knows what racism truly is? I went through racism. I went through the type of racism that a lot of people here in UK haven't faced. I've been spat at, fights every day. This was in Viseu, Portugal. I went through that type of racism that was really serious, physical racism, where I was actually attacked. Now, I don't see a lot of people. When I came to UK, I didn't see a lot of racism. I never denied that racism exists. I was never clueless to the fact that racism exists. In fact, here's a spoiler: racism will always exist, people. It will never go away. It will never ever go away. This fight of this fight to end racism will never end. As long as there's human beings in the world, racism will always exist. So I've experienced that. I've seen racism, but I don't think a lot of people know racism the way you and I know racism, and they're the ones kind of diluting, the meaning and gravity of it, because it's serious.
And the problem is, and this is my issue, they conflate everyone as the same, and it's done purposely, and that's my issue. Because if you're able to make the distinction, why can't they? They don't want to make the distinction. They don't want to make the distinction between someone. And to be honest, I think it's overestimated that you have black people running around the United States saying, everything's racist, everything's racist. The white man's this, and I can't get... I think that's over exaggerated. I don't think there's black people all over the United States running around feeling that they can't achieve anything, or feeling that they're oppressed, and they're feeling. I think this is a bit of a kind of
It's social media, bro. It's social media as well. A lot of people are not. Look, I'm not in the United States. Is what we see on social media. That we have to take that.
But to be honest, I don't even see that a lot on social media. To be honest, I don't. I'm just being honest. I don't see that a lot on social media even. I don't. This whole kind of horde of black people out there saying, "I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I can't be successful because of the white man." I don't see lots of black Americans doing this. I generally don't. And I don't believe that, and this is the key part, I don't generally believe that they do either. They may see it happening now and again, and I've seen instances of it. For example, I saw on TV once a black woman who was overweight saying she can't lose weight because of racism. I thought that was a ridiculous statement to make. I generally thought that was a ridiculous statement. I understand that. Okay. So for example, if you see someone like that, that doesn't give you the right to say, "Oh, you see, this is what these black people are like, you see. Everything is racism." They look at something like that.
A story like that would blow up on social media.
Right. They look at something like that, and again, because they want the reason, and this is what I'm saying to you. Anti-black racism underpins all of their thoughts. Basic prejudice. Because they want to have an issue with black people. They need to, because, and we could go deeper as to why particularly people like Myron want to do it. That's about him wanting to validate himself to a certain group of people. We can talk about that. But the point is, because they want to have ill feelings towards black people, they will use examples, random examples of stupid black people making stupid comments about what racism is, and use those people to then extrapolate it to all black people, because they want to demonize black people collectively, because it suits their narrative and appeases their own prejudices and biases. As I said, I think that's overestimated. I don't think you have black people running around saying this. And another thing is, when you're in the process of when someone has legitimate statements to make about racism, you immediately conflate that with those idiots. That's a problem also. That means you're not even trying to be even-minded. You don't want to acknowledge the fact that
in my circle here in England, I'm sorry, I don't see brothers talking about racism and all of that type of stuff all the time. But
I've never had a black person say to me, "I can achieve X, Y, and Z because of a white man." I've never ever heard that in my life.
Yeah, it's me too. But the thing
is, it's a myth.
I wish I had Elijah here, because maybe he could give us more of an insight on American people out there. But yeah, let's continue, because Figgy said some what's his name on Tariq Nasheed. He says some things that puts a lot of things into perspective. Though I'm not in full agreement with Tariq Nasheed, but he does say some very good things. I have to give it to him.
Broke down and they didn't fight them. We can't have that.
Nothing wrong with Uber. I drove Uber
we,
too, and
we
I'm
can't have that same thing.
I have a Middle Eastern background too, bro.
Foundational Black Americans driving
2014 to this country with $2,000 in my pocket.
We can't sit here and ignore.
There's no country like America that has more opportunities. So it's me, Calvin.
Who is Calvin?
Some camel.
Let him finish his point, Calvin, because I want to make sure he can say what he's got to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can't sit here and do what y'all did back in your homeland and ignore white supremacy. We'll turn this into a third world country. Somebody has to fight the white supremacists to get things for non-white people, and we're the only ones doing that. You understand these white supremacists ain't trying to give nothing to nobody. Somebody had to say, "Hey, you're going to have to give something up," and y'all come and enjoy that. And then when you come over here and start trying to align yourself with the same white supremacists, we're looking at you funny style. You understand that?
I'm gonna leave that right there.
I'm gonna make a statement. I'm gonna make an analogy about that, because that's a really interesting point he made. So I'm gonna bring it back to this country. So when the Windrush generation came over here in the early 60s, but in Bristol, they were not allowed. They literally, just based on the fact that they were black alone, they were not allowed to drive buses. Just to the fact that they were black. Again, people can look this up. Bristol boycotts. What black people did in that time, they said, you know what? Okay, because you're being openly racist, we're going to boycott the bus. We're not going to use it because you won't allow our men or women to be drivers. So they were actually out there complaining about racism. If these idiots were around at that time, they would have looked at those black people and said, look at these black people playing the victim. Look, they want to be victims. Look, they're crying about racism. It doesn't exist. Okay, now this is what happened. Following that boycott, we had what was known as a race and discrimination. So literally, an act, legislation came out of that boycott, okay? An act in Parliament came out of that, where discriminating on race was disallowed. It was prohibited by law, okay? So imagine now, if those people were around now, and they were still, and you had people like that saying, these people are race baiters and they're just complaining. Can you see how, if they were dissuaded from continuing, the impact that would have had on the rest of society? So this is what I'm saying. This goes to show the importance of standing up against racism. You have to do it, because if you don't do it, not only do you not benefit. For example, in this country, after that Race Relations Act, every minority that came into this country was protected. Black, brown, Chinese, whoever. They were all protected by that Race Relations Act. And the root of that act was people standing up against racism. That's why it is very difficult for some people to hear people having an issue with you bringing up racism, because we know the impact that what that can achieve when you stand up. We understand the impact that it has when you stand up against racism. So we're not going to have people, and to be fair to what Tariq said, that come from a place where they have not done that, where they've allowed racism to continue in their own homeland.
Trying to lecture,
You see, I get where Tariq is coming from. He's saying, in your land, you allowed racists to come and overthrow you, and you didn't fight against them.
That's right.
Over here, we did do it, and there's been benefits that have come from it. So we're not going to allow you to come over here and lecture us about what is and isn't racism. I get it.
And that's when I heard that, I was thinking that's actually a really, really good point. We went through the struggle. We know what racism looks like. We know the reality of racism. So now that we've went through the struggle, we've overcame, and laws have been passed to favor us, do you think we not going to keep an eye on racism? Do you think we're going to take our eyes off the ball, put it that way? No, we're not, because we know the reality of it. You never had to overcome it. You just came to this place and realized, oh, this is nice. This is a nice place. This is different from, but you're not taking into account the fact that we're the ones who had to go through all that mess in order for you to have a nice, you know what I mean, a nice place for you to thrive in, for you to make something of yourself where you're not discriminated by your skin tone. So I thought that was really interesting. But I want to get your opinion on this, bro, because this was I want to see what you think of it. This
are we moving on to the next video, or?
Yeah. I think this is going to be the last of this, and then we're going to go into other bowl washers. Okay. Yeah, you ready? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Once again, if an immigrant that doesn't even speak the language can come here and be successful, there's nothing holding anyone back.
You're not that successful, sir. You're not.
I'm not talking about me.
I'm talking about immigrants in general. They're not really that successful like that. You come over, you flee 3,000 miles to get a job, okay? You flee your homeland to get a job, all right? You're not really balling out like that. You're not.
They
flee
to America because there's opportunities in America.
That we created, yes. I know that. We know there are opportunities.
Okay, wait, so you created it or white supremacists created it? Which one?
Tariq.
We had to fight these white supremacists to allow some of these opportunities
by your
for the
logic,
non-whites.
then we could go ahead and say,
right?
So who created it? The white supremacists or the foundation Black Americans? That was the question posed.
Well, again, if you just look at the facts of the matter, why did Black people have to fight for their civil rights? If the so-called white supremacists were these benevolent people that were giving people fair rights across the board, they would have had to fight for civil rights. So the very fact that they had to fight for it means that they generated influence on the powers that be to change the law. Because one thing a country can't have is constant chaos, constant disorder. It impacts businesses. It impacts their standing on the world stage. That's why if you look at up to South Africa, the boycotts, the way that they were perceived, a lot of that had to do with why apartheid stopped. So there's many reasons why the powers that be will have to concede into treating people like normal human beings because of the chaos that could ensue in their. Remember, there was race riots across the United States. Whole towns were being burned down. You know, there was Black people actually the civil rights era, and this is what people don't realize. Black people were doing stuff like kidnapping police officers, kidnapping planes, sabotaging infrastructure. There was a lot of things that people don't know about that was happening. They think it was all we should hold hands and Martin Luther King non-violent stuff. No, that's not all they were doing. There were some real militia groups out there, engaging in violence.
Black Panthers.
Yeah.
They're willing
there you
to
go.
protect
That's
the
just
community.
one example. There's many other ones, bro. Trust me.
They're willing to protect the community by using weapons, by using guns.
Yeah. So there was lots of acts of violence happening. So yeah, at some point the government will, we've seen it all over the world where they've had to concede for the betterment of their society. There has to concede. So, to answer your question, I would say that it was the grassroots people, the actual people that were fighting it. They're the ones that led to the change, and it's because of their efforts. Again, I go back to what happened in Bristol. If it wasn't for those Black people standing up, demanding and boycotting and causing a stink over there, the government would have created that Race Relations Act. They would have created it. So that's a perfect example of what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yes, you could say that the white supremacists ultimately made things because they enacted the law, created the law, enacted it. But what provoked them to do it? Would they have done it on their own without the provocation? No, probably not.
Shouts to the Mighty Walk. What's going on, brother? Where were you, bro? But shouts to the Mighty Walk. What do you call it? Yeah, bro. Oh, like you said, ultimately the white supremacy. I think the point that Sneako was trying to make is that ultimately the white supremacy is they gave in. They said, you know what? Fine, we'll give it to you. But ultimately, it was their decision to do so because they could have taken other drastic measures to basically stop the riots or stop the violence or anything of that nature. But no one can deny that Black people fought for their rights. No one can deny that there was definitely a fight there, that they were willing to do drastic things in order to gain some kind of justice, gain some kind of rights, in order to have some dignity. You know what I mean? So no one can deny it, but what we can't be naive to think that if the white supremacy wanted to put a stop to it, if they wanted to eliminate the Black community, it's not like we have a military. They could have done that also. So but
again,
yeah,
I hear what you're saying, but we got to look at the alternative. Unless they want to create a full police state where everyone is affected, because if you want to have the situation when you're denying the rights of people, then everybody gets affected, because then what will happen? Your groups will go underground and there'll be terrorist acts within these cities every day, which would then lead to a police state, which would then lead to the people within the dominant society fighting them also. Because if you want to suppress a group of people, what can happen is you did have to enact certain laws within the cities You didn't have to have curfews. You have to, you know what I mean? It creates a damaging effect on society. So it's not just about these that they've become they're benevolent, you know, they're kind of this benevolent force that says, oh, well, for the greater good, let me do so and so. It's for their own interest too, bro. Trust me. Because they know the alternative is that their own citizens will end up turning against them as well.
Okay. The Mighty Wolf, listen, bro, I'm sending you my email right now. Just give me a shout on my respond to the email. No, I'm putting my email. Just send me a message on my email, and then I'll send you my number. Yeah. Hold on a second. Here's the email, bro. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I agree with you. I actually I really want to address this situation here that we've just been talking about, because this is really, really interesting. What would have happened if did the white men give in, or were they really forced, or did they just allow black people to, because they had another agenda in place that they wanted to transition black people in? Is that the reason why they allowed the civil rights movement to take place? Is that figure? Because I always look at it like, okay, you have the ultimate power, which means since you have the ultimate power, you are the ultimate decision maker, which basically means you are ultimately in control. And why allow it? You can see these people want justice. They want they want some dignity, and so on and so forth. People don't do nothing for free. What were they gaining out of it? What did they gain out of? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I actually want to really delve into this, but we could be here all day.
I've
got so many more timestamps, bro, to go through. It's absolutely crazy, but we would never go into get through this. And if we had more people in the panel, it would have been crazy. All right, shall we address the other bowl washer? Because, bro, this is a sad story, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Talk to me, bro. I'm gonna give over to you. Can you tell me the story? I'm gonna actually get a little beverage, right? I'm gonna get a little beverage. It'd be like a bedtime story almost. Can you give me like a quick, because we gotta go to. I'm going to bed after this anyway, so
yeah.
I've got my little beverage. Can you just break down the story, bro, from beginning to end?
Oh man, Jake, bro, Jake, what's happened to him? I find it to be truly sad. Apparently, Jake is getting bullied on his own channel. I came across a few things, and it's sad to see. I felt like we treated
What's happened, bro? What's happened to our good friend, our former good friend? What has happened?
That's what has happened. He's getting bullied. He's having flashbacks of the times he used to be part of the Solution podcast. The team, we used to have loads of debates. It's so online, people can see it for themselves. So everything that we warned him about, everything that we warned him about his behavior, about how his conduct as a person, and so on and so forth, about having respect and all of that type of stuff. Everything we warned him about, it's all. I mean, it's going through it right now, bro. It's going through it right now. That's really
the story to hear
that. Seriously, bro, it's actually a sad story when you think about it. Seriously, but he's getting bullied in his own channel.
Really?
Yeah, bro. They treat the bro. It's like they say.
So when you say today, I don't really keep. So who? When you say they, can you break down who you mean by they?
I would say Andrew Wilson's gang. Andrew Wilson basically came on his live, told him not to work with a certain person.
Hold on, let me just, because again, I'm catching up here. So just let me know, because you got to fill me in. So for my understanding, so Andrew, that's the guy that you debated, is that right?
Andrew Wilson, yeah, that's the guy I debated. Yeah.
So you kind of reached out to Andrew Wilson, reached out to you, if I remember rightly. He reached out to you because he reached out to you because he had an issue with what you said.
Yeah, I made a video.
He reached out to you. You didn't arrange a debate with him. I remember that because I watched that debate.
Yeah.
after that debate, how did him and Jake? What happened after? I mean, what happened?
What happened after that? Basically,
did you introduce Andrew to Jake?
No, I didn't do any of that. I did give Jake a shout out though when I did debate Andrew Wilson. I did give him a shout out. I didn't introduce Andrew Wilson. I think one of Jake's worker said some things about Andrew's wife, and he was trying to get the same thing, trying to get Andrew Wilson to come onto their platform. And
well, that's a debate, because also you had him on there to debate him. Were they going on there to debate him? What was their reasoning behind it?
No. I debated him. He saw a video that I made. I was criticizing him, and this is how the whole thing happened. And shout outs to Hassan, because Hassan is the one who actually went on this Twitter and said,
I remember that. Yeah, shout outs to Hassan.
He agrees with shout outs to Hassan for that. And I never emailed him, I never DM'd him, nothing. He came to my channel and he confronted me and he said, "Look, let's have the debate." And I said, "Yes, let's have the debate." I don't think that wasn't the way for Jake, and it was more like arse licking. It was closer to that. It was a lot of I think Hassan exposed something about something that Alex said about Andrew Wilson's wife. I think he called her a whore or something like that. So he exposed that, and let's just say after he exposed during the time that I had my debate with Andrew Wilson. So from that time to when Andrew Wilson finally featured on Jake's platform, let's just say there was a lot of how do I say this? A lot of begging, apologizing.
So what I'm understanding from it is, from what you're just telling me, is that if it wasn't for you debating Andrew Wilson, Alex and Andrew Wilson wouldn't know each other right now as of today. They wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for you debating Andrew. Is that right?
Well, yeah, pretty much. But I mean, anyway, I'm sure Andrew Wilson gets loads of DMs. I'm sure they would try to DM him.
But there's also a correlation between you debating him and then the introduction from, you say, one of his workers. You said,
one of his workers.
His employees.
And I don't think they're getting paid, but but anyways, but it is what it is, right? Remember Alex used to be on the part of the pod.
I don't remember him. What is he? Can you describe him?
Boy, what did he look like? What's that leader's in North Korea's leader? What's his name?
Oh, okay. North Korean leader. His name is Kim Jong-un.
Yes, he looks exactly like that.
Bro. I don't remember him, but anyway, continue.
I'm trying to. It's been a long time. But anyways, bro. Ever since Andrew Wilson went on Jake's platform, Jake's channel has been growing because Andrew Wilson basically showed him love.
Well, that's good. Congrats to him.
Congratulations to him. Yeah, congratulations.
Because I always find it weird they had all those subscribers and there wasn't much viewing. I always find that. So, congrats.
Yeah, that was strange as well. That was very strange. So he got, I think, like 300 subscribers or something. And Andrew Wilson, even when he first joined, even when he went on his channel, the first time he went on his channel, and it took a while. It took a while for him to finally grace the channel. This is what I meant by there was a lot of begging. You know what I mean?
But you got to respect the perseverance, bro. Remember what they say, be it, achieve it. Achieve it, be it, or something like that.
Yeah,
you gotta respect it.
You gotta respect it, bro. Put some respect on my name. anyways.
Listen, I respect anyone that goes after their dreams, bro. That real talk. If that's your dream and you go for it and you achieve it, then more power to you.
Yeah, more power to you, man. More power to you. He he definitely achieved that. So regardless of how much begging was involved. The point is, Andrew Wilson even said, he told his own people, send some super chats, show some love, subscribe to the brother. And that's exactly what I would say about 300 people so far did. And so Andrew Wilson basically got his boys in there. You know,
right.
his boys pretty much you know, they're all over that what do you call it, that channel there. And
so this reminds me of something before you move on. So from my understanding, Andrew Wilson is a conservative Catholic.
Orthodox.
That's what he identifies as, yeah?
That's what he identifies himself. He identifies himself as Orthodox.
So the guys that he had, his people, as you described them, what are they? Are they also conservative Catholics?
No, he's been accused. They usually tend to be red pill incels. Yeah, he's been accused of what do you call it? He's been accused of ingratiating himself to that type of community. All right.
I've seen that. I've seen people accuse it. I think even you did, but I've seen other people also accuse him of trying to ingratiate himself with the red pill incel community.
Yeah, and by him ingratiating himself, he actually puts a battery on their back, because it makes them think that they have a moral authority. They have a they have a moral justification for believing in the degeneracy in the red pill degeneracy. So that's the problem with him. Instead of him just going up there and telling them, like, listen, you're doing this is wrong, that is wrong, you know, according to Christianity, according to the Orthodox, this is wrong, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. He's not doing that, because I'm looking at Jake's message and it hasn't really changed. He's still pushing for red pill ideology. So nothing.
Hold on a second. Okay. So sorry. So you're saying that he has, like, so he has these guys are on his podcast, you're saying?
Yeah, bro, they're all over the podcast, bro.
So what happened to the motley crew he had before? I won't mention names.
Yeah.
But those geniuses that he had with him that were, what happened to those? Are those guys no longer involved?
The billionaire, the one who has billionaire uncles.
You had the billionaire uncle.
Yeah. There was the one that said that he used to live in Singapore. Come to find out, he might be closer to us than we thought.
Oh, yeah, there was that guy. And then there was the invisible man, I call him.
Oh yeah, what was it? I forgot.
I can remember.
They deserve a backhand. What is it? Sometimes I can only remember what he said, like the things that came out of you fool.
Yeah, I mean, it was very all I remember, it was a very disturbed individual. That's what I remember. So what happened? So those, are you saying those guys? And then you had the remember the other guy, who was he? He was the one that liked the sound of his own voice. Remember that guy?
The one that likes the sound of his own voice. Yes,
the one that he would pontificate forever.
Oh, I see. He's still in it. He's still in it. He's still in it. But apparently, the rest of them, no, the rest of them, I don't see them ever. I think they've been because he's got other guys that are now featuring.
So basically, they've been demoted, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think
or have they been made redundant?
No, I don't think. I think one of them has been made. No, hold on. I know one of them is definitely just running like a discourse or something like that. So basically, they're not like even. Yeah, they've been demoted. Bro.
So demoted then. They've been demoted.
They've been demoted, bro. Because we don't.
They didn't have faces. So they didn't have faces for the camera behind the scenes, guys.
Huh?
They didn't have their faces for the camera, so they're behind the scenes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're pretty much behind the scenes. Yeah.
Okay. Good luck to them,
bro. But when they were on the Solution podcast, they had a voice. You know what I mean? And there's a Solution podcast. We'll make sure that everyone has a voice. But now it's like they just don't exist anymore, man. But anyways,
sad, really.
It's actually sad, bro, when you think about it, bro. But what
do you expect from an anti-black racist?
That's a good point.
I mean, come on, guys. I mean, you should have seen the writing on the wall.
Yeah, come on, bro.
You know, the Spanish guys, they pick the white guys over the black and brown.
Yo, didn't we hold him accountable?
We did, but they didn't want to hit. You see, this is what happened. It's all very interesting because it shows a couple of things. From what, I don't know the full from what you're telling me. So when you're okay, as I've always said, a lot of these non-white red pill guys, there's a lot going on with them psychologically. There's a lot of trauma there from childhood. You know, they want to be Anglo, they're not quite black, you know, they're brown, some of them are black, or you know, they don't know if they come from this African country or the other one.
Said he's 50% white or something.
Yeah. So when you have that mentality, when white daddy shows up, then hey, you're surplus to requirements. Unfortunately, when white daddy showed up, remember this is all about they're trying to ingratiate themselves with a certain type of white individual. This is what and the way that they flag that. So it's like they need to court their attention. The best way to court these right wingers' attention is to be anti-black. Say a bunch of anti-black stuff. Show your indifference to black people, and hey, you come under their radar. So that's it seems from what you're telling me is what's happened, but it's slightly backfired because the ones that were doing it with him have been now made redundant, and the one that's doing it is now being made a mockery of on his own. From what I heard, from what you were mentioning, is that he doesn't have control of his own videos anymore. That's what I'm hearing. That's what the grapevine is.
They took over the
entire.
So
White Daddy has taken over the podcast.
The entire channel, bro. They telling them what and what not to do, who to speak to, who to not speak to, who to talk to. Hold on a second, brother. Hold on a second, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this is really sad to hear. This is really sad to hear. But as I said, I mean, this is the problem. When you try to ingratiate yourself with people that don't really respect you, it will come out. That's why, guys, you got to be comfortable in your own skin. There's therapy out there. If you are a non-white person but you have issues with your own identity, the way out of that trauma is not to identify with anti-black white racists. Don't do that. That would never work for you, because they'll always consider you as a you know what, and you can twerk all you want for them. You could talk about your 50% Spanish heritage, grow your hair, play a rock guitar. You can do whatever you want, but unfortunately, they still see you as a you know what. Sorry, bro. They try to warn you.
Do you know what it is? Yeah, it's the lack of respect. Like literally, like it's the lack of respect that they have for him, bro. They telling them what to do and what not to do, who to speak to, who to not speak to. I found that crazy. But anyways, I've got some clips for you. Yeah.
Oh, you got evidence,
bro. I've got evidence, bro.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Basically, Andrew Wilson's guys took over. All right. So that's basically what's happening.
So White Daddy took over.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So basically, that channel belongs to him now. Yeah. So that's actually what's really going on. All right. So and they telling him to affiliate themselves with who to not do that. They're telling them straight up on live, like they're having these lives and they're telling them to his face, like this is what it is, this is what you need to do. And he's just taking it. There is no pushback. There is no, I mean, I'm like, where's your balls, bro? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, talk back. What happened to you, bro? Hold on, let me just load up the video, man. Let me just load up the video. There you are, Jam. Hold on a second, bro.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. All right, okay. I got some timestamps. You just gotta bear with me, man, because it's actually quite sad, bro. It's actually quite sad. Before I play this one here, where some of Andrew Wilson's boys are basically just telling him, you know what I mean, what he should do or shouldn't do. I think is better to play. I think this is the one. Yeah. Hold on a second. Because he had basically Andrew Wilson's got beef with some guy called Based Oracle, and let's just say they don't like each other. Based Oracle.
Based.
Oracle.
Based,
yeah.
Isn't it like a devilish kind of term? Based? I don't know. Isn't it? Sounds like I've heard that kind of.
I don't know.
Based. Bro. Okay. All right.
Yeah, his name is Based Oracle, but basically he doesn't get on with Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson doesn't get on with him.
Okay.
So Andrew Wilson kind of told him from the very beginning that he doesn't F with this guy. And in a roundabout way, they were trying to tell him, listen, I don't F with this guy. Please don't go over there and talk to this guy. You know what I mean? But you know when you tell someone something without telling them directly, it's like, yeah, I'm here now. I'm kind of like, I'm helping you out, and I don't F with these guys. So you kind of like, the way you're gonna take it is, okay, so you're telling me not to F with these guys then. That's how anyone would see it. All right. So, but apparently Jake decided to still go and F with these guys. Or talk to this guy, to this Based Oracle guy. Well, he invited him for what was supposed to be an interview, and the interview apparently was nothing more than just a setup. It wasn't a real interview, because I think he invited him to have the interview so that he could find out what his side of the story was, and so on and so forth. But when he came to Jake's platform, the whole thing basically became a bit of an ambush. And even the term ambush, that term itself was discussed also on Jake's on this particular video, but of course we can't go through it all. But I'm just going to give you a quick rundown, I've got some timestamps here about what actually happened. But Jake absolutely got destroyed again. It was actually sad to watch, bro. It was sad to watch, because I had love for that guy, man. All right, days, man. Even though he behaved like he was disrespectful, racist. Oh, God. But I still don't believe he's inherently racist, but some people probably see it the other way. All right, let me play this.
Well, by going on other panels, right? You went on my panel that's hyping it, right?
You asked me to come on.
I did ask you, and you agreed. But you could have said, no, Jake, I don't want to hype up the debate, so I'm not going to go on there and explain my story. You could have said that, but you chose not to, right?
That doesn't make any sense.
How does it not?
Well, it's not really how does it not, it's how does it make sense.
Well,
I didn't ask you to come on to talk about Andrew Wilson. You asked me to come on, and you said you wanted to know about my past story, and can we talk about a little bit of the Andrew Wilson thing and a little bit of the Glenn thing?
No, it wasn't a little bit. No, it wasn't a little bit. I made
Jake,
it clear
I'm still talking, Jake. No. This is my platform now, and I am still talking, Jake. I am still
don't lie.
Talking, Jake.
That was
one at a time.
All right. Jake doesn't know how to behave, apparently.
Guy fucking shot me out. Come on, Base. Don't do that.
No, Jake. I don't have a problem with you, but you need to know when to shut the fuck up.
Hold on,
right then
Base,
was the time to shut the fuck up, because I was talking.
Correct the record?
No. You can't correct me by over talking me on my platform.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Good. Now you're being polite, because I was pretty polite on your platform, even though really it was just an ambush. Right?
Okay,
Got Glenn waiting in the but. I'm not finished. Got Glenn waiting in the bushes to come on and snipe with his already pre-configured timestamps. Oh, what about this? What about that?
Go ahead, babe.
Yo, bro, are you getting some flashbacks?
How sad. How sad.
You remember the interrupting? Not respecting the platform.
But the ultimate thing, what I'm getting from this is, when you are, you see, respect is a very interesting thing. And people know
Hold on.
It's like a. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. It's like the street world. It's like the street world where you have these young boys out there that they want to be, they want to be aligned with the top guys, and they get taken under their wing, and they're out here fighting the top guys' battles. You said something about so and so. I'm gonna fight. They start fighting, and that guy doesn't give a crap about them. And they go jail, and they're on their own. They're like, "Where's all my elders that were out there? I was out there fighting for. Where are they not bailing me out? Why are they not?" And then you're just there. I mean, that's it. That's what I'm getting from this situation. You got someone that was trying desperately to be the Captain Saver White Daddy. Daddy took him under his wing. White Daddy took him under his wing, aka Andrew Wilson.
Yeah.
He went out there as a little soldier he is, and was fighting White Daddy's battles. And one of White Daddy's foes is out here disrespecting him openly, and White Daddy's nowhere to be seen. White Daddy might actually been watching that, laughing his head off.
Or thinking to himself, "Shut up and get off the damn street. You're embarrassing me." Yo, I feel for him, man. I feel for him.
Yeah, that 50% Spanish, man, that he really thought that was gonna help, but it didn't help.
He thought he was gonna get him over the wall. Jay, no pun intended. But anyways, but just to show you on that little clip there, we went through that with the disrespect and all of that, and we were calmly trying to like, this is not how. Stop behaving like this. But he carried on and continued, which is a shame. I think he got as time went on. I think he got worse. He didn't get better. But anyways, I've got another timestamp here. Let's just carry on here.
I finished my thought.
That's great. So you want to say it was an ambush, right? Did I not message you before? I said, "Hey, Base, I'm going to ask you, bro. Is it possible for me to send the link to Glenn and to Andrew? Now, I told you this. You can tell your story. We're going to do the interview. I want you to get everything out in the open from your perspective." I said that, correct? And I told you, is it okay to...
You did.
Hold on.
You lied.
I
agree.
What do you mean I lied? No,
well, I said to you that... No, you just asked me, how did I lie? I'm going to explain to you how you lied.
Go for it.
Why would you ask a question and then go to talk over me when I'm at... Jake, this isn't your fucking show. All right, so the attitude can get turned off real quick. You know what I mean?
Okay, bro, go on.
Okay, very good. So you did throw out to me, can I have Andrew Glenn on? I said, sure. I said, I expected an ambush anyways. Then you went on to lie for a few sentences about how, no, it's not that. If it was that, I wouldn't have asked you, etc. But nonetheless, that's exactly what it was.
Okay, so let me tell you what actually happened. I was very specific with Base. I said, "Hey, man, you can tell your story, what led up to the Andrew Wilson stuff." And I even said the new Glenn story, because remember, we already had it booked before him doing the Glenn storyline, okay? We already had it booked. This was new information, and I told Base Oracle, would you mind? It's up to you, bro. It's up to you. You don't have to agree. It's up to you. Could I send the link to them? Tell your story, and I think it's fair if they come in and tell theirs. You don't have to do it. I said, it's up to you. He agreed. Go ahead, do whatever you want. That was his statement. And I have the fucking DMs right here, bro. Prove it.
Okay, you have the DMs, hold on, which I didn't ask for. It's irrelevant. Your points that you just made did not change at all what I said. That you came at it with bad faith.
How?
It was deceptive.
I told you the truth.
Well, I explained how.
How do I deceive somebody by telling them exactly what was going to happen? How do I deceive that?
By telling them exactly what I want them to believe, which is this is not an ambush, even though it is.
No. Well, here's the thing, and I told you.
And that's basically this clip is just to show the deceptive side of
But you mentioned something about something happened on his own channel as well. You mentioned.
Sorry, something happening in his own channel.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah. Basically, all right. There's this guy called Glenn and this guy called Grid One. They basically own Project ViewPod, and they there anytime like they want. They just do what they want. All right. Okay. So that's basically that's what's going on. So all that happened was when this guy came for an interview, this guy based Oracle, he came for an interview at Jake's platform. He was basically ambushed. He was ambushed by Glenn. Glenn came in at the end of the interview, and Damon was there as well. And he came at the end of the interview, and at the end of the interview, he already had some clips ready. So he already had videos to react to ready. He had everything ready, which I mean, Based Oracle is right. The entire thing was an ambush. And thing is mentioned in the DMs, but in the DMs, the reason why he said, well, don't think I'm trying to ambush you. The reason why he said that is because he knew it was an ambush from the get-go, from the very beginning. And what's his name? What's his name? Based Oracle even acknowledged that. He says, I figured it was going to be an ambush anyway. And then he's like, no, I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you. Bro, if it's an interview to get to know the guy and to get to know his perspective, why are you bringing in other people that are against him, that are his, in a sense, his enemy? Why would you bring that? Why would you bring that energy over there? It was an ambush from the get-go. And he just literally exposed them, and he's saying, no, I wasn't trying to be deceiving. I wasn't trying to be deceiving. Yes, you were trying to be deceiving. You were trying to be deceptive about the entire thing. And this is again to show his character, again to show his his personality trait. That's the problem. And we went through that too. And it's sad. It is sad. It is sad what I'm seeing, because I know he's doing all of this to, impress someone. I think we know who.
This is why, man. As I said to you, I say it again. Guys out there, if you're listening, you non-white incel red pillars, you'll never be white. You'll never be accepted by these suspected white incel red pillars, conservative so-called right-wingers. They're not going to accept you. They will use you because they see what they see your issue. They see through it. When you're up there talking about you're not really liking, you don't want to be called brown. You want to, and you're highlighting your European ancestry, and then looking at you and seeing a Mexican.
Yeah, that was sad.
You're always you're never gonna be yourself. You're always gonna be on the back burner. You're always gonna be having to validate yourself. And that's one thing that all the incels, these guys that we dealt with, from the billionaire nephew to the weirdo wannabe, the Mr. Invisible, I call him, to the other guy that says he lives in Singapore but apparently doesn't. All those guys, one thing they all had in common was this issue with their own identities. They all had that as an issue. They hated, if you notice, every single one of them. Bro, what do you hate your identity and your culture where you come from?
No, not at all.
I don't hate mine either.
I love mine.
Thank you. One thing they all said was, and this is, we can find timestamps for this. We've had conversation with them. They all hated their own culture. You notice that? Whether it be Asian, whether it be Chinese, whether it be African, whatever. They all hated and had issues with their own culture. These are the two cultures the two races they had issue with. Their own race and the black one. You notice that? All in common. So the reason why they have issues with their own race is deep. That's the deeper meaning. That goes back to their childhood. That goes back to someone did something wrong in their family. Someone messed up in the raising issue, the raising of children that want to be comfortable in their own identity. There was some issue there. That's old. The anti-black stuff, though, that's interesting to me because that may have started in school when they looked around and saw who the popular kids were, and there was a jealousy that built up there. That could be an issue, but also I think what they also realized is that they had to find a community, and the community that they found was the white incel, red pill conservative community, the so-called alt-right. They all kind of mixed together. They found, and then the red pillars too. They all found this was their home, but they also encountered a lot of racism. They saw a lot of anti-black racism there as well, and they realized, you know what? For me to ingratiate myself with this community, I have to adopt the same anti-racist mindset. I have to do it. And then what happens, because they're constantly seeking validation, they will embrace and endorse this anti-black sentiment, sometimes even more than the whites that they're emulating. So you'll see the likes of Myron making overtly racial comments, saying things like wearing a Hitler mask, not a Ku Klux Klan mask, making Nazi salutes, saying things like the Klan got some things right. These type of statements. Statements are not even their white incel brethren would dare make. But because these guys are desperate for their validation, they will go out of their way to make. And you saw it with the Spanish guy.
Yeah,
he would go out of his way to make very disrespectful comments about black people, using the N-word openly, etc. Because he understood doing that would ingratiate himself with his white daddies that he wants, and that's what he's doing. But it never works out well for them because they'll never be fully accepted. They'll never be fully accepted by these people.
Yeah, and it's a shame. And sorry, bro, you're there's some feedback. Getting some feedback. All right, let's play this next clip.
I think we got a chat there. Is there a couple of chats you want to read out?
Yeah. Now this is just the mighty walk. Shouts to you. He says, yes. He goes, yes, people know who to play with. Then he went on to say, I don't, that's why I moved. Not that I hate it, but you should grow as you get older. And let's establish one thing. These guys are not that young. All right, let's just establish that. All right, these guys are not that young at all. And I'm doing this. I'm doing this out of love for him. That's the only reason why I'm even highlighting this, because I hate seeing people get bullied the way he's getting bullied. I haven't even got to the clip where he's getting absolutely disrespected, and I thought, this is just sad. This is because I've had private conversations with him, and it's just sad to see him going down this route. Whatever he needs to get rid of in terms of, this hatred that he has for whether it's racial, whether it's against women, he needs to get to a better place, put it that way. Thingy says something very interesting here. What's his name? Based Oracle, something to do with, I know this is not your first rodeo, while highlighting how deceptive, while defining what overt deception is. Hold on a second.
Were you ever overt with your deceptions? I would say you teetered on the line of it, but most of your deception was covert for anyone who wasn't paying attention. But all your little quibs, your little attitude, your little pissiness, I can see it very easily.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I'm not as dumb as most of your watchers.
I never said that you're dumb, bro. I actually think you're a pretty smart guy. But
yeah, so you should know that I already have you fucking pegged, Jake.
Oh, you
and do? I know it's not your first rodeo.
No, it actually is, bro. I've only been streaming.
So I want to make a quick statement before you jump in. Yeah. So what? Again, this need for validation from white men is also why he's allowing himself to be literally. He actually tried to pay the guy a compliment, and the guy spat the compliment back in his face. And I want you to compare that to when he was having a debate with Hassan. With Hassan, it was immediately, let's go to N-words.
Yeah.
Straight away. And Hassan wasn't even being disrespectful to him. This white man has been openly disrespectful to him.
Openly.
But because he needs that, he feels intimidated. And remember, this is the same guy that even in our own chat made a quote unquote joke of when Damon was speaking, said that the intellectual white man speaks, or words to that effect. And that was supposed to be, but what he was doing was he was highlighting again that in his mind, he is a wannabe white supremacist. He believes that white people are
superior,
a higher race than not only his own race, which is why he's going with he's trying to beg the Spanish identity, but definitely over other black people. So this is why he's allowing this white man to treat him like a complete clown and disrespect him, while at the same time he's actually trying to even compliment the same guy, while the guy is openly disrespecting him. Shows you how ill he is.
Yeah.
These are sick people, bro. These are psychologically sick people.
Yeah, it's actually sad. But when he said this is not your first rodeo, I was thinking to myself, hold on a second, has this guy been watching the Solution podcast or all those back and forths that we had with with Project Real Point? Has this guy been watching that? Because I mean, he must have. He must have, unless he knows him from somewhere else. I don't know. But I don't remember Jake having these lives before us. Hold on a second. Let me see what the next one I'm going to go into.
The problem is he doesn't agree with you. That's the difference. So, and even though I don't agree with you either, I can be more diplomatic about it.
What do you disagree with me on about?
That we can compromise our standards so we can include a few more under the umbrella of our side.
You know what's funny? I'm not talking about, like, you remember Charlie Clerk, right? Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the Turning Point. Remember when he was welcoming all the LGBTQ maggots and drag queens and all that garbage?
Yep.
He's welcoming the enemy right into the fucking platform.
And now you're making based argument for him because he's he's
so then
so narrow-minded that you're starting to slip on the edges.
Hold on. So if I'm the enemy to base, can you explain how am I the enemy? What's my ideology? What do you have a problem with it? Since I am the enemy.
Well, you're saying you're the enemy. I didn't say you're the enemy.
Okay, so then Phi, you're explaining.
I think that you're kind of a cocksucker. But that doesn't make you the enemy. I mean, everyone can make their own orientation choices. But where it comes down to, I get it, that you want to align with anyone that aligns with anti-leftist progressivism. And as I shared with you, the problem is that enemy that you have pointed out
bro, straight disrespect. Shouts to everyone. Wow. We've got 16 of you guys watching here. Yo.
Man's calling you that, and you just going over your head. Like, okay, wow.
He was ready to fight me, bro. Remember? He was
and me. Remember? He said he could beat me up.
yeah. We laughed it off, but he was serious about it, And he
wasn't serious because he knows that he wasn't serious because he knows I put his hair that make him cry.
No. In his heart, he thought he was being serious, but if this was in real life, that would never.
He would literally have a heart attack. But,
no. I'm gonna play this last clip, right? This last clip. No, not last. I've got 3 more to go, but this one here is the last one from this video because he got absolutely demolished. And if the intention was to impress Andrew Wilson, he disappointed Andrew Wilson. If the intention was to impress Andrew Wilson and people like Grid One and Glenn and all of that type of stuff. That's Andrew Wilson's goons. He disappointed them. He disappointed Andrew Wilson's friends, disappointing all of that. And you guys are gonna see why I say that, because on the next stream, on his own channel, they call. No, I mean they they tell him off pretty much. You know, they tell him off. But yeah, let's just play this next one. It's actually sad because, damn, Jake, man, you don't have to go down this route, man. I mean, and this is not, guys, please, man. This is just me trying to help a brother out, really. You see, it's my Christian side, all right? Hanging around with Christians that like swearing and enjoy swearing, not as a slip up, but they actually enjoy just using foul language for the sake of using foul language. All right.
Damage to our side than the opposition does. So to the point that you were just making, Jake, isn't this the same logic, the same purview that Andrew Wilson had once he stepped into the arena, the podcast arena with Fresh and Fit? Well, Fresh and Fit and I both align on we're against the leftist progressives, which when I brought up Walter Weeks Fresh, you said, oh, no. But meanwhile, that's what Andrew said. Your daddy.
Yeah,
Andrew.
well, when it came to that situation, you're talking about probably perhaps the Daisy situation.
Hold on, let me rewind that. Chill.
So hold on. Oh, that's funny. I didn't know. By the way, I've not seen this before. This is put it out there. I've not seen this. He's like me. He called him his daddy too.
Huh?
He called him his daddy like I did.
Yeah, bro. He called it. That's why I didn't want to burst out laughing when you said that. But
White daddy, boy. White daddy. Didn't save you, did he?
Nothing, bro. Nothing. Just, you know what I mean? Bro, I've never seen him this disrespectful, and yet
being disrespectful under the most disrespect I've ever seen. That's the crazy stuff.
Yes, and it's funny how he's respectful being disrespected, but when on our channel, bro, we were polite. And
we're not white daddy though, bro. We're not white daddy. We're
not
black
white.
daddy.
That's it. But hold on,
we were black daddy, and he was rebelling against black daddy. He should have stayed with black daddy. Jake, you can come back to black daddy. We won't spank you like this. We try to teach our students.
Yeah, exactly.
We try to teach them. We try to, help them. It was tough love. I agree. It was very tough love. It was tough.
But we didn't.
But ultimately, you'd be much better.
You'd be better off, mate. This is
we got three that have disappeared now. They've lost out on it, and then you got one guy that's been made a mockery of.
Bro, it's not even. Hold on a second. I'm not. Listen, for the sake of time, I'm trying to speed things up, bro. There's timestamps where they're making a mockery. I speak 3 languages, right? English is not my first language, but for him, he's being made like things that he's saying that doesn't make any sense, or I think it's because he's nervous and all of that type of stuff, and they just making a mockery out of it, like a mockery out of him. It's actually,
bro, he feels insecure.
Oh my days, bro.
He feels insecure because he's around the very types of men that he
people that he perceives.
So he feels intimidated and he feels insecure. That's because he still has to get that sense of validation, you see.
That's right.
So he can't bring himself to actually insert himself as a man. Be a man.
Bro, man. Talking about someone who's in their 30s. All right, hold on. You have to bear with me on this clip, bro, because this clip it's too funny, bro. It's gonna be hard to get through it, but you're gonna enjoy it, bro. You're gonna enjoy it, trust me.
Damage to our side than the opposition does. So to the point that you were just making, Jake, isn't this the same logic, the same purview that Andrew Wilson had once he stepped into the arena, the podcast arena with Fresh and Fit? Well, Fresh and Fit and I both align on we're against the leftist progressives, which when I brought up Walter Weeks Fresh, you said, oh, no. But meanwhile, that's what Andrew said. Your daddy.
Yeah,
Andrew.
well. When it came to that situation, you're talking about probably perhaps the Daisy situation or him banging in multiple women, right?
No, I'm telling you the context that I just shared. It had nothing to do with any of that.
Well, you said that he was my daddy. That's not accurate. But again, can you be more specific on the question, please, so I can answer it properly?
So more specifically, did Andrew Wilson not say that Fresh and Fit and he align because they're both, all three of them, against the leftist progressives? This is the same argument you were just making, Jake. Keep up.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. But
okay, so then why did you say Walter Weeks is not that?
No, I didn't say that. I said he wasn't a full-on conservative because Walter Weeks has explained in the past that he isn't necessarily faithful. He bangs a lot of chicks. We understand that. And there's arguments to go against it, which Andrew has criticized Fresh and Fit for that. Right? So again, we
whoa. When you say criticized, you mean he asked his fans to send in super chats to them? Is that your version of criticized?
I don't know anything about his fans.
Oh, you don't know anything about that. So you saw it, but you don't know anything about that. It was blasted on air, but you don't know anything about that.
I don't know any of his.
It's funny. You have a very selective knowledge base of what goes on. But you knew exactly with the Glenn drama, apparently, right?
No, I didn't. That's why I asked you.
No, you didn't. That's why you asked me because you didn't know about it.
Because I didn't really.
I don't have any idea about the Glenn thing, so let me ask him about Glenn.
I didn't know too much details. This is why I fucking asked you.
You didn't know too much details, even though Glenn was in the backstage ready to add the videos that you added right away. You didn't say, "Hey, Base, do you have videos?" Right?
No, Glenn was the one that jumped in, and Glenn was the one that sent them to me.
Oh, okay. Wait. Glenn sent them to you.
No, Glenn actually. I screen shared Glenn's fucking computer, bro. It wasn't mine. I didn't have them ready in the background.
Okay, so if I had asked to throw up clips before then you would have threw them up.
That wasn't true. You're shooting the narrative to make it sound like I'm
shooting the narrative.
Yeah, you are. So here's the
thing. How
do
you shoot the narrative?
By manipulating it, by spinning it, my friend. So
wow, I never knew I was shooting that.
Yeah, now you know. So here's the thing.
So that's being accurate. You're being inaccurate. So what would that be as per the narrative? So would that be like butt fucking the narrative? What would that be, Jake?
Yeah, probably butt fucking the narrative.
Stop. Yo.
Yeah, I think I've seen enough.
No. We've got 2 more clips and that's it, bro.
Okay, play another clip.
Yeah, because oh my days, bro. So Andrew Wilson was telling Fresh and Fit fans to.
Oh yeah, I caught
so he was telling his own fans to super chat Fresh and Fit. Yeah.
Well, that's clout chasing, isn't it? I mean, Andrew Wilson still has lower subscribers, so that's it. See, what he's doing is very clever, and this is something that these guys can learn from White Daddy.
Yeah. I think what Andrew Wilson is doing is genius, getting people.
Yeah, so he's basically showing them. Now, this is what I'm saying. I mean, these guys are very easy to manipulate. Because, as I said, when you know that someone's trying to ingratiate themselves to you, you always have the upper hand. And you're able to manipulate.
Yeah.
So the same way Andrew Wilson is able to he needs the clout to build his channel. That's all he wants. Andrew Wilson is a clout chaser. That's why he's compromised his values and his religion.
Yeah,
that's what he's done. Okay, that's what he's done. There's no doubt about it. I think this is even what this guy's calling him out for.
Why would
he has done it? And you were actually the first person. So kudos to you, Nelson. You were the first person to call him out for compromising himself for the red pill audience. And that's what he's done.
Yeah. How can you
be a Catholic with a Orthodox Catholic and be asking people to donate? Because when you're asking someone to donate, you're asking them to literally help to push their narrative. That's what you're asking your fans to do.
Yeah.
A degenerate narrative, you're asking your Catholic followers to promote. Think of that.
Yeah. No. Hold on a second. You call them Orthodox followers, right? they are not Orthodox followers. Do you know
So
why?
what did that say about him then?
Hold on, because an Orthodox follower would never send a super chat to a decadent, degenerate platform like the Red, like Fresh and Fit. They would never do that. The only way he can command that from his fan base is because his fan base is the same one as Fresh and Fit. That's the only way he can get them to super chat Fresh and Fit, because if you know about the Orthodox religion, if you know about the people that believe in the Orthodox, they're very conservative with their values. They really believe in it, just like Catholics. We're very serious about our religions. So of course that's not all, but that's the majority, and that is the culture type of thing. We take that seriously. So if the majority of his fan base was indeed Orthodox and so on, if that was really the case, they would have never. He knows he would have never got none of them to super chat to Fresh and Fit, because they understand that Fresh and Fit is a degenerate platform. It's only for red pill degenerates. It's only because he knew that his followers, red pill incels, that he can command that from there. He can ask them to do that. But okay, so after Jake gets basically demolished on that platform, all right, based Oracle. After that, this is what basically happened. I think it was immediate. I think it was immediately after that he jumped on this stream here, and check this out. Grid One basically lives there now. Glenn basically lives on his stream. Sorry, on his channel.
So they managed to leapfrog over the other employees that he had. How sad.
Yeah.
Those poor guys, man. I'm sorry for those guys.
Yeah, Glenn's got a huge following. And let me just say this: what Andrew Wilson is doing is genius. You get all these small content creators, you get them all on your side, and you get them all to start recruiting for you. Because guess what? Everyone's looking up to who? Andrew Wilson. So you get all of these guys, and in the end, you're building yourself up. That's how you get yourself. Yeah. That's how you build yourself up and become the. You see what I'm saying? You use the power, because people are fans.
So he's absorbing some of these smaller channels.
Yes.
Into his own network.
Yeah, because the smaller channels, they feel privileged to even have someone like him come to their channel.
Clever.
Be like, what? Oh, he's showing me love. I'm always gonna show love to Andrew Wilson. He's the realest. Yeah. And when he does that, that's it. All he has to do is get a whole bunch of content creators that have no following at all, that can't get followers, and that's it. He comes in, shows them love, ask his whole army of incels to say, yo, send him some money, and they'll pay. They'll give him some money, and that's it. They'll be loyal to him the entire time, bro. That is extremely clever, bro. I mean,
definitely.
Shout out to Andrew Wilson for that. Okay? Let's check this out.
No, I'm still about it. I'm still about it. He's
gone gay, bro. He's gone gay. He's going for men now.
No. Let's not get it twisted.
Prison
so Jake, I mean, it looks like you got gang raped earlier. You okay?
No, I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine, bro. Yeah.
Hang on. All right.
Get your popcorn ready.
Wow, straight disrespect.
Oh, this is on his channel, yeah?
On his channel, bro. Straight disrespect.
So going on your channel, disrespecting in your own channel now?
Yo, that Grid One guy, yeah, he hardly got any followers, yeah, but he's loyal to Andrew Wilson straight up and down. And he told him the very first time Andrew Wilson said, yo, I don't F with that guy. Grid One literally told Jay, he said, yo, listen, if Andrew don't F with someone, I don't F with someone. You understand? They were literally telling him there and then, don't go there. But the thing is, just the way he said it, like just the way, look what he did. Let me get the popcorn. Looks like you go gang great.
Bro, I mean, remember, to him, he's a little Mexican football.
Yeah.
Just something just to have there's a little Mexican boy that they can kind of send out to the shops. Buy the snacks and bring it back.
It's like a runner.
How sad is that? Jake,
man, don't do this to yourself.
Be a proud Mexican.
Be a proud Mexican, bro.
Be a
you know
proud
what I mean?
Mexican. Don't let these white boys take the piss out of you, bro.
Because they are, bro. But check this out, bro. It gets worse. Yeah, check this out. This is really quick, and we done. Check this out, bro. Damn, bro. Damn, Jake. What? Check this out.
And it cannot work with, but
same here. Like
if
the
argument back. Everyone gets personal. Everybody gets personal. That's a problem.
What I told people, I told people that today that like, look, I am not going to tell people who they can and cannot work with, but
same here.
If you're going to work with this individual while he's, you know, constantly pushing this narrative, this false narrative about me, I'm not going to collaborate with you. Because it's like if I collaborate with you, right, and you were just on the stream with him, and he's attacking me, and you're not challenging, you're not calling him out for the bullshit, and I bring you on my platform or do a show with you on my platform, I'm basically co-signing that type of behavior.
Yeah, I agree there.
And here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing about this whole deal with Based Org.
All right, now the last one, because it kind of goes hand in hand with this, yeah. And this is grid one, basically just.
Hold on. Did this with that conversation I just said? Was that on Jake's channel as well?
Yeah. I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you see how he's talking to him? You know what I mean? He's literally
him off.
Yeah, bro. He's
his boy. I know that's an English term. Some of you American might not get that, but he's sunning him, son.
Yeah,
he's sunning him.
Bro, he's trying to tell you indirectly. Do you know what that leads to? That leads to eventually, listen, as time goes on, he's going to start talking to you directly. You know what I mean? He's going to start calling you stupid, an idiot. Why did you work? This is how it starts. It starts with, you know, like it tries to tell you in a roundabout way, you know what I mean? That, but eventually, if you allow this to go on, Jake, man's gonna start talking to you like you're just a piece of shit. I mean, even that alone is disrespectful. Because Jake is a grown-ass man. Well, hold on a second. This is the last bit. This is the last one. Yeah, check this out. My days, Jake.
Before we kind of went down the like a weird path there, you know, the whole deal with you know, as I said it before, that look, Oracle is nothing. He's nobody. He's a liar. He's a known liar. He's a known dishonest person. I told you not to engage with him. You did anyway. Now you know, right? Like now you know.
I was so surprised that he went with that narrative that I was being bad faith. And even though I told him
he does it literally to fucking everybody. That's why we can't engage with him at all. Like, I will not even go on a stream. If he is on a stream, I leave. I will not allow him to ride my fucking coattails. Ask Glenn. I told Glenn, if Cheeks comes on, I'm out. 100%.
That's pretty much the gist of it. I mean, the whole stream, he's just being told off. He's being told off for even going there. You know what I mean? This is why he started off with, I told you not to do that. And you wouldn't listen. But this is pretty much
I'm going to give my final thoughts on this whole situation. Is that right?
Yeah, bro. Let's do it because we've seen enough, man.
Let me give my final thoughts. I mean, it's going to be a bit of. I'm going to kind of reiterate some of the stuff I said. This is in all seriousness. This is a lesson to any of you guys out there that don't have value in your own talking points. If you're going to come onto social media as a man, come on with purpose. Come on with something to actually say that you have conviction for. Don't come on here looking to be clout chasers. Because when you're a clout chaser and you're constantly seeking validation, you're going to be absorbed by people with their own agenda. If you have your own agenda, you can never be absorbed by anyone. You can collaborate with other people, that's fine. but never allow yourself to be absorbed into another person's philosophy. And this only happens when you haven't got no philosophy of your own. And I've been saying it for a while. A lot of these guys, unfortunately, I said it about Jake too. All he does is whole talking points. Every single talking point he has, it's just something he's heard from another YouTube content creator. Even some of the phrases he uses is just literally him parroting another YouTube content creator. So there's no real original thoughts in what he says, and no original thinking behind it. That's why, I mean, I had a quick look at his channel while we were doing this. He's not even creating content anymore. All he's doing is engaging himself with these guys. That tells you that he didn't really have any much conviction for the stuff he was doing before.
Facts.
Now he's been absorbed by White Daddy. Now he's abandoned everything. He's abandoned his old incel friends. He's abandoned his talking points. And to the point where he allows himself to be disrespected by these guys. This is what happens when A, you seek validation from people that don't really respect you, and B, you haven't got any real conviction for what you stand. You're not standing for anything. This is the net result of what happens when those two things come into play, and it's a tale for everyone out there to observe. This is what happens when you're not a man, essentially.
Jake, we used to work together. Not really work, but we've had a lot of debates together. And what's happening to you is a shame. All right. It really is. So don't take this the wrong way. This is not us trying to attack you. This is even if you saw us laughing and all of that type of stuff, you deserve some of this, by the way. You do, because of how you behaved in the past. But of course, I want what's best for you, and this is definitely not what's best for you. Everyone can see what's happening. You are being disrespected. You're allowing yourself to be disrespected, and everyone can see it. And it's sad. It's sad to see it. It's sad to see it. I hope you come to your senses. I hope you do better. I hope. No, JM, you're right, man. If he had values that he truly believed in, if he really had conviction in those values, he would be. That's what he would prioritize. That he wouldn't be compromising himself right now. He would have some self-respect. He would have all of these things, but because he doesn't really have any, or he thinks he does by, I don't know, by standing for Trump. He thinks that's where a lot of people are, going into politics, and they think they can get, values or morals from politics when you can't really. What I suggest you do is you turn to Christianity, start following that. Yeah, it's sad what's happening, Jake. Look, listen, Jake, don't take this the wrong way. This is not us trying to attack you. This is us trying to help you, because we did have a lot of debates. We've got a bit of a history together. So, you know what I mean? But anyways, guys, shouts to everyone who, decided to take time out of their busy schedule to join us today. 16 of you guys watching. Shouts to all of you. Shouts to Hassan. Shouts to the Mighty Walk. The Mighty Walk, I'm going to send you an email with my contact, yeah, and then we can go on from there. Shouts to everyone. And what's the other guy's name? Baha. Shouts to you as well. And yeah, guys, we'll see you next time, man. Peace.
Take care.